As YouTube Live, thanks for joining us. So that's both of us on. Well, the worst kept secret in football was confirmed today. Rob Edwards got the Middlesbrough job, as everybody was pointing to. The local rags run it. I think they ran the story for a month, as far as I know. I don't buy papers as a rule, especially local rags. But anyway, shortlist was made. 3-4 weeks ago. There was talk about Gerrard, Edwards, Cooper, Sean Dyche, Carrick, Tony Mowbray. The list was endless. Me personally, the photos fell. Hold on, I need to sort this photo. The reason there's no sponsor board, because the sponsor board is getting made. I've got a new room getting made to have it all done right for the start of the season. As I say, I'm on here tonight because we employed the coach, Rob Edwards. I have to say, well done to Rob Edwards. He's brought in his own men. Adi Viviash, is it? He was under, no doubt it's been everywhere. He worked with Matt Robbins at Coventry. He's been at a few clubs as assistant. Watling, also academy coach, whatever. Teams like Chelsea, development coach, West Ham, whatever. So good that he's bringing in his own men. Wee bit surprised to see Grant Ledbetter still there. Everybody else is gone. I predicted that since January that if we didn't make top 6, I could see changes. And although the changes weren't made as soon as the season finished, and we finished 10th and outside the playoffs, I still believed that Carrick would depart. And he did. Do I feel sorry? But I don't feel sorry for any professional coach or manager that gets the sack. They get a boatload of money and for failing, whereas the guy in the street, the guy with that worked 40, 50 hour week jobs, 40 hours, 50 hours a week, get a boot up the arse and say, see you later. So I don't feel sorry for the modern day coach. Carrick, first season, best football I've seen at Middlesbrough for 40 years, so I can't pay him any higher compliment than that. Second season, there was a dip, and the third season, it became boring and repetitive and didn't enjoy it. Yeah, so what do you think? Was a surprise Rob Edwards getting the job? I have to be honest and say yes. Why wouldn't you be surprised? Rob Edwards, well, we know he won promotion and he was part of 2 relegations. But Rob Edwards finished 20th his team was 20th in January. He got the sack in January. He was 2 points off the relegation zone. We beat them 5-1 in November. He was sacked in January. And we've let a guy like Carrick go who was 10th. So if you're not surprised, then you're deluded. You know, a guy that finished 10th leaves, and we bring in a guy that finished 20th and gets sacked in January. But I'll be honest, I sincerely wish Big Rob Edwards, although he wasn't my choice, and he wasn't in my top 4, I wish him all the very, very best, and I really hope he succeeds. He looks a great guy. He's a fair talker. He talks well. He dresses well. He's a smart individual. He's worked a managerial ladder. You know, if I would have had a choice, it would have been Cooper or Roll. Roll, obviously, I thought Roll's not going to come. 2-year contract, we ain't going to pay that. But I don't know, for whatever reason, Cooper couldn't have been attracted. And the other ones, Gary O'Neill didn't fancy. Mugger, I was with Tony Mowbray last week. I told him to his face that I wouldn't have him back at Middlesbrough. And he's my pal, he's my mate. And he knows I don't say things behind people's backs. Mugger's been here. I'm not a big fan of people coming back, and I think it's lazy recruitment. And Mugger didn't get the best deal when he was here, and there's no guarantees he might get a bad deal again. I thought Mugger could have been a good director of football. But yeah, so surprised, but I wish the big man all the best, and I'm sure the Middlesbrough public will get right behind him. Steve Gibson is going where he's got what he thinks is right for the football club, the club that he's kept afloat for many, many years, fighting against the tide. So yeah, let's see what happens. As I say, the only surprise in the coaching staff is Grant Ledbetter has stayed behind. I know Grant, he's not my pal, but I know him. I respect him greatly. He's a great player. I think he's a great guy. But I'm always, what's the word? I'm always suspicious when somebody stays behind when a new coaching staff come in. With Leo Perkovic staying 4 different manager coaches, he was part of it. Jonathan Woodcock is there about 3 times. Don't like that. I'm a fan of people, when they come into a new job, they clear the decks, get all their own men in, guys they trust. Not being pals. Don't want the pals act. The jobs for the boys. That's what people have been referring to Middlesbrough for quite some time now. And to a degree, they're probably right. There's no segment business. And you have to pick what the best is. And that 40 fell again. I'm going to put it up one more time. If it doesn't work, then it's getting binned. Anyway, there's loads of texts here. Get involved. There's people now. I'm just going to backtrack. Let's see. As I say, everything's everywhere because I'm doing a new place for the new season. Hi Bernie, I do hope Borough fans will back Rob Edwards, Julie Henry. Hiya Julie. Julie travels the country, has been a massive Borough fan for many, many years. Has spent a fortune in the club, travelled all around, well, everywhere. She's been everywhere. And she's saying Borough fans back Rob Edwards. Look, they will. I've got an opinion, but I'll be right behind them, without a shadow of a doubt. Am I surprised? Yes. Are you surprised? Well, you should be. Because they finished 20th and get sacked in January. Why wouldn't you be surprised? Borough stuffed them, walloped them, humiliated them 5-1 in November. So yeah, he is a surprise. As I say, my quote was when I seen the list, likes of Carrick and Rowe and Mugger, Gary O'Neill and company, I said I wouldn't touch the majority with a badge poll. And probably the big man was one of them. But that's not being disrespected. I'm going with my gut. And my belief's been a Borough fan and my knowledge of football. But he's in the job and we're going to back him, we're going to support him, we're going to give him a season or two, get behind him and let's hope we can turn the tide. But the one thing he cannot do, he can't play a rigid formation. You know, he can't play a formation that's set in stone, he can't be a one-trick pony. He needs to be flexible, and he needs a plan A, B, C and possibly D. I mean, I respect people like Carrick, like Postecoglou, who stick to their gut instincts and, the principles and morals. I totally get that. But if it's not going right, the results aren't going your way, and you're not playing good football, and it's becoming boring and repetitive, something has to give. You have to change it. No, I'd like to think I'm pig-headed to a degree and stubborn. And I would be as a coach or a manager, no matter who was saying what, I'd stick to what I believe in. Because at the end of the day, whether you do it your way or their way, you're going to get sacked eventually anyway. But sometimes, as Einstein says, the philosopher, insanity doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. We kept fanning about the back last year, expecting different results. We were boring the pants off opponents, boring the pants off our own team and the fans. And it became like it was becoming a trend and a joke amongst the fans. They were actually cheering it or jeering it going along the back line. And when we put it forward, everybody would cheer. That happened several times last season. I watched Luton under Edwards, and if we start playing long balls, isolated Conway, forget it. Hopefully we can still keep the same style with a few tweaks to the game management. That's for Scott 94. I'm sure the big man Edwards has done his homework. But the one thing that I would hope Edwards done, you do your due diligence, go to a club and you do your homework. Being me, if I was Rob Edwards, the first thing I would have did when I had a word with the chairman, who I respect greatly, Steve Gibson, I would say, look, Steve, I've noticed in the last couple of January windows your team's been up there, but you've sold players. Can you promise me, if I'm in the top 6 come January, December, can you promise me you won't sell anybody? If you want to sell somebody this summer, but give me my best chance and opportunity to carry on to the end of the season and hopefully get us in the playoffs. Now, the last couple of seasons that's not happened. Rodgers went. We know for quadruple the profit. Latty Laugh went the next window. Big Mac Crooks we let go because his family wanted to go to America, and lo and behold, he returns. We bowed him. So for me, that would be the one thing I would have to stipulate and ask Steve Gibson before I would join Middlesbrough if I was a Rob Edwards or anybody who was going to take the job. Try and guarantee you don't sell anybody come January if I'm in a good position. If I'm 12, 14, huffing and puffing, I get it. But I keep asking the question, I don't know why, what is the rush to get rid of players in January when you can sell them in August? I still don't know the answer to that. So where are we here? Leslie Coates says, I believe Scott is a friend of Edwards. Scott, if you're thinking that's Kieran Scott, the chief executive, is a friend of Edwards. Maybe he got him through the door. I'm about as excited as opening a Poundland Christmas cracker for the season ahead. So, look, a lot of people aren't excited. A lot of people are. Some people are on the soapbox already. I'm only giving my opinion. I'm not getting overcritical. I'm not being overly hyped and praised. 2 promotions on his CV. He speaks positive. Has already had working relationships with staff currently at the club as of May. And he speaks a breath of fresh air when he speaks. Everything the complete opposite to Carrick. The future is positive. The one thing I would say, and this is what I think. Well, been in Teesside 40 years come October. The director of football in Europe, directors of football have been something that's been on for many years. And certain clubs in England had them. But we employed our first director of football in 2021. A guy called Kieran Scott, whose claim to fame was bringing Pookie from Norwich. He came to Middlesbrough. Now, that's in 2021. We're in 2025. And we're on my 4th manager. Now, for me, you can chop and change coaches galore. First team coach, sidekick, 3rd team coach. You can continue to sack them or put them out the door. But the dynamics don't change because the 3 most important people are the chairman, the chief exec and the director of football. They're the most 3 influential figures at the football club and they are still intact. So 4 managers since the director, we're on my 4th manager since 2021, so in 4 years we're on my 4th manager. Or coach, they're not managers, they're coaches. Director of football keeps his job. I believe the director of football, I've heard through the grapevine, he signed a new 3-year contract. The dear God, if you get contract for bringing in Ian Ashall, who was hopeless, overweight, overpaid, I know he was on loan, and Giles, I called it lazy recruitment, and I just couldn't quite understand why Giles came back. If you get rewarded for things like that, Whittaker still to prove a lot. Obviously we'll give him next season, but we paid a few quid for him for Plymouth Argyle and he didn't really hit the ground running. But obviously directors of football are the top boy. They have to please the chairman and the chief exec when it comes to money. As I said last season on here, they can have the best eyes for talent, but the top boys can block the way. But they're the 3 most influential people at the football clubs. Don't forget, I know people in the modern game now. I know how I've said I knew how it operated. My gut told me, but it's all been confirmed with guys that's been in the game now. There's certain clubs will tell coaches we don't want him and why are you playing him here and if I was to turn around and say, well, can I tell the press that? Oh no, you can't do that. It's in your contract. You stay stump. So you're a nodding donkey. You become a whipping boy. As I say, I could not go to bed at night thinking guys are doing me left, right and centre and tell me what to do and who to pick and who I'm selling and couldn't work in that environment. But modern coaches do that. They buy into it. I get the football club's point of view. If I was Steve Gibson, I want to cash in and guys like Latte Laugh and make 20 odd million when it cost me 5. Rogers undisclosed fee, make 12, 15 million knock-ons. I totally get the business side. But I'm a fan, former player. I want the best for the club. When Doak gets injured in January and we let Latte Laugh goes, for me that was the end of the crusade to get back to the Premier League or the playoffs. So, yeah, sometimes you reap what you sow, and not getting back to the Premier League or in the top, forget the Premier League, in the top 6 is because when it comes January, we're not quite managing it right. We're cashing in, and I get it for the business point of view, but I'm talking football point of view. It just weakens us. It knocks everybody. It knocks the fans' confidence. It knocks the players' confidence. If I'm in the team last year and I see Doak going back to Liverpool injured, and I see like Lafcon. That takes its toll on me as an individual, and I'm sure his teammates. Jeff the Copper, hi Jeff. He has a great surname. Laugh out loud. That way, man. Eddie Jeff Edwards, that's his name. It needs to be back financially to have any chance. David Kay. Yeah, look, I don't know what money's available. Only the Steve Gibson and the chief exec know that. But do I think money will be swirling about and flying about? No, I don't. It needs to be back financially. You've mentioned that. Lee Field says, good evening, Bernie. Who was your number one? My number one, Lee Fields, was Rowe. But when I heard Rowe was, if that's how you pronounce his name, when I heard that he still had 2 years running his contract, I thought, well, we won't be going for him. When the other ones are free, I don't mean free as in, well, free as in buying them, getting them for the other club. I didn't think him. I looked at Gerrard, I thought, Steven Gerrard, 3 years in Glasgow, won 1 trophy in 9. Don't anybody accuse me, oh, you're Celtic, this and that. Rubbish. I'm talking professionally here. Steven Gerrard winning 1 trophy in 9 in Scotland is not success. In England, they keep saying it's a Mickey Mouse league. Celtic Rangers rule the roost. Well, 1 trophy, the 1 trophy that he won was what stopped Celtic winning 10 in a row. That's what he'll be remembered for, and rightly so. That was an achievement, and it was during the pandemic when there was no fans watching. So Gerrard, for me, has never worked a managerial ladder. He was handed the job, went to Villa, didn't do very well, went abroad. I don't know how he did over there, but he's returned. And then you had Karanka. Well, those that were considering Karanka, yeah, he got his promotion, but this was a guy who was fairly, he was like a dictator. He walked out in the club, he came back. He did get his promotion, but when we got promotion, he won 4 games in the Premier League and went 7.5 games without a goal, and his football was boring. Tony Mowbray, I told him to his face that I wouldn't have him back, and I love Tony Mowbray, respect Tony Mowbray. I wouldn't have him back. Gary O'Neill, when he put in his book that he deliberately gets sent off well at Middlesbrough, wanted to watch the golf, I was put off with him, although he did well at Bournemouth, getting the job initially. He was taken over and then he got the job, and then he went to Wolves. But Cooper and Rowe were my 2 favourites. Cooper, obviously Swansea, Nottingham Forest thought he'd done well. Leicester never got a chance. It was a joke. Bit like Tony Mowbray getting into West Brom and getting sacked after X amount of games. Manager isn't an issue, Bernie. Some internal issues that need fixing are in parking. Yeah, as I say, the other thing that I've not seen anybody departing, the sports science team. The players were falling like flies last year. I don't know who's the sports scientist at Middlesbrough, but surely they must hold their hands up and say there was a lot went wrong when it came to fitness. We've got dietitians, sports scientists, and they were falling like flies. We had 5 central defenders injured last season. It was a joke. So there must be more than Carrick and his coaching staff head for the door. Even in Burnley, hi Mark. All I ask is that it implements passion and adds real leadership on the pitch, improves us defensively. He did touch on, uses his substitutes much better instead of the last few minutes. I think Rob will want some height in the team too, which basically gives us a plan B. Josh Coburn will be buzzing right now up the borough. Fair point, Mark. I think the big man, Big Rob Edwards, I think he will play a bit of get it forward. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to just see hoof after hoof like Wimbledon in the mixer. That's all Wimbledon did. They got it to the fullbacks, he used to launch it. But I tell you what, if you ask me, do I want the fanning about the back of the launch? I'd rather have the launch, although I don't want to see it every game. But it must be better than passing about the back. Was it my first choice as preferred role? Yeah, but always got to get behind a new manager. Without a doubt, this guy's done nothing to us. He's not done anything to us. He's got an opportunity. He's come in with ambition and drive, which the fans have always had and have every season. Dreams and fantasies. Let's hope we can fulfil them. And let's hope it's a season of honesty, where the players roll their sleeves up, wear the shirt with pride, go in battling, strapping every game. Don't get the heads down. Bit of leadership. I mean, if I was talking to Edwards tomorrow, I'd say, by the way, you need leaders in that team. There's no leaders. Some of the lads are powder puff. But as somebody says a few minutes ago, if he does play the long ball, Conway ain't the answer. Conway's not very big. Conway's not good in the air. Now then, Bernie, do you know what type of football Edward prefers? What was the change from tippy-tappy, Derek Hall? Derek, I think for sure they won't be tippy-tapping. Hey, there might be certain times, if you're winning, fair enough. But I've seen his last season in countless occasions, home or away, 1-0 down or 2-1 down or 2-0 down, and we're fanning about the back. I keep getting back to that Chelsea game when I travelled to London in the cup, the semi-final, second leg. Well, 1-0 up for the first, we go down there, 5 goals away, fanning about the back. We never changed it. It was like Lampsey Slot, we just kept playing it, knowing it wasn't working. And none of the experienced players that night took the bill with the horns and said, do you know what, we're changing it. We'll sort it out with Carrick when we get in. Let's change it now, after the second goal. But we kept going, let 5 and dumped at the cup. The real issues lie at the boardroom. This is for Jay Shaw level. Edwards is a likeable guy and a good manager, but it's taken on poison chalice. Best players sold halfway through the season, I mentioned that. Replaced with uninspiring loan signings, then rebuild at the end of the season, same year after, regardless who the manager is. Well, that's what I say, Jay, and that's what I'm trying to say. Irrespective, if we chop and change coaches every 6 months, the three, I'm taking it down, I promise to take it down. The three top, the 3 guys at the top, the chairman, the chief exec, director of football, those are the 3 kingpins. Those call the shots, who goes, who comes in, what loan players comes in, when they're going. They are the main guys that call it. Not the coach. The coach is the one that carries the can. Unfortunately, but many times did I say that last season. Carrick will know the reality now. By next summer, we'll all be calling him King Edwards. Kev Naylor says, would you have brought Justed? Oh, Rudy Justed, dear God, that's like a swear word now. Rudy Justed. Murder. Jed Trainer said, bit disappointed, sent my CV in, didn't even get a reply. I'll get in behind him, but top 6 after 6 months, I'll have to reply. So if we aren't in the top 6, Jed's saying, so a bit of sarcasm, a bit of fun. And great to see you, Bernie. I'm excited about this season, to be honest, but let's see what players we need. This is for Daniel Shields to be signed for sure. Well, we still need half a dozen players at least. For me, we need 2 centre forwards. We need a left winger. I'd like another right winger. I still don't know if Whittaker's a right winger or plays up front. And another defender. But we must have more firepower than we had last year. You know, we were in a critical part of the season last season, and we had 1 centre forward in Conway, and we had no natural left winger. I thought I didn't quite grasp anything about last season, especially for January onwards. I like the look of the coaching team as a whole. Feels a lot more professional than having Woodgate, etc. Edwards speaks really well. Hope he can back it up. Yeah, but hey, talking's important, but it's how he inspires the players. Coaches are there to coach the team and inspire the team. Players should be able to inspire themselves and jolt themselves for games and get up for games. But if they can't, for whatever reason, the coaches have to do that. And this Adi Viviash, that's how you pronounce the lad's name. By all accounts, he's a charming man. He's ruthless. He can G up players, stroke egos, backsides, and that's what you want. Carrick Watling, he's obviously third in the coaching staff. Bernie, give us a wave. Bernie, give us a wave. David Reid, there's a wave for you, David. As I say, I'm on here because we've employed the coach, the worst kept secret in football. Wolfie, man. You're a legend. Bernie, Joseph, Slaven, David K. Legend's the word, yeah. Ian Plumpton, the jury will be out until the first 10 games of the new season have been played. Leslie Coates says people are calling him Knob Edwards before he's even started. Laugh out loud. Now, look, there'll be a few jokes flying about. As a joke's a joke, well, that's fine. But Edwards, as I say, is at the top when I come on here. Was I surprised Edwards was the one that was appointed? Yes. I've got my reasons for that. Yeah, he got promotion with Fleetwood Town. He went to Wolves and huffed and puffed and departed. Got the Luton job. Took over for a good Luton manager stroke coach at the time who went on to the Premier League with Southampton. So he got the job with there. So it was a decent crop of players. He kept it going and got promotion. Well done to him. Like the majority of teams get promoted, they get relegated for the Premier League. But last season he had a mare. Finishing 20th when he left in January. We gubbed him 5-1 in November. You always think you go for somebody that finishes higher than the one you've sacked, but it's not the case. Doesn't mean it's right, but doesn't exactly fill you over brimming with confidence. I don't even think we have a starting 11 at the moment in time. Going to be a busy window again, but we'll just make up of loans. Well, Ian Fowler, the thing I will say, I said this several years back, well, it's like a lot of teams, I suppose, not a lot of players last more than 2 years at any particular club, no matter how good or bad they are. But it's like building foundations in sand. You know, when you build a house, you build solid foundations, concrete, then you build your house. We're building it in sand. By that I mean we're bringing in loan players who depart, players that come in are not good enough. We bring in players that we buy and let them go after 6-7 months, i.e. Rodgers. So it's just forever non-stop building. And if we keep selling in January, we're never going to make into the Premier League. Some people have been asking me, do you think we genuinely want to get in the Premier League? I don't know the answer to it, but my gut at the minute is no, we don't. Because we wouldn't sell in January. Although I totally get the business point of view, but don't tell me our ambitions, goals and drive and dreams are to get in the Premier League if we're going to keep selling in January. Sell in August, sell in May. I've not got a problem with that, but I don't know what the rush is. January comes, we're sitting in a healthy position, we've still got a chance of playoffs, and then we kill it with letting players go, the best players, the best goal scorers. You're good at your predictions. Carrick was going, and more so Hackney leaving or staying. Leslie Coates is asking me. He must be putting a flutter on that. Look, if healthy money came in for Ed Hackney, he'd be gone. I don't think he's open to debate. Look, people, you know, they give Middlesbrough, they're a selling club. Middlesbrough's always been a selling club, way before I arrived in Teesside. When Matt Proctor, David Hodgson, guys like that, they'll tell stories. They all get sold. They're a good team, but they all get sold. Andrew Hill says, I can't see Borough finishing the top 6 with Rob Edwards being appointed as head coach, but his assistants are impressive. Andrew Hill. Let's hope they are. The guy hasn't done a training session yet, never mind a game. Give the guy a chance. Timmy Leach. Timmy, that's what I'm trying to say. We've got our opinions and who we fancied coming in and getting the job, but Rob Edwards is appointed. Let's get behind him. That's all we can do as fans. We have our opinion, good or bad, question things, but then we support him. We can't castigate the guy who's just walked in the door. Let's give him a chance. I know where the doubt is coming from because he gets sacked. His team was 20th position, 2 points off relegation in the Championship. So you'd have to have a balloon not to question that. But it's up to him to turn it around and say, hey, I'm better than that. There may have been reasons. You know, I've heard stories, is it Batley? He was there and the big man found it hard to manage him or coach him, or because these were big names who'd been round the block. England international, played for Chelsea. You know, no shy lads. But he's not going to get names like that at Middlesbrough. We need to stop selling players if we want to get into the Premier. David McCormack, I've said that throughout last season and tonight. My personal choice, Edwards, poor, cheap option, but get behind him. I'd rather have had Cooper or Roll, that was my choice, but he would cost compensation with Gibbo, will not pay. No, Daniel, I agree. When I looked at Roll and I thought he's still got a 2-year contract because he's been first team coach of the German international team. You need to be half decent to be up there, believe me. So, but when I seen the 2-year contract, the existing contract, I thought there's no chance. No chance, won't pay that. Cooper, don't quite get the Cooper thing. I don't know what's happening with him, where he wants to go. Maybe he's got something lined up. But the other ones, as I say, I've not mentioned Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche, he's worked a managerial ladder as well. Wasn't handed silver spoon and get jobs. He's worked hard. He was at Burnley for 8-9 years, whatever it was. Did a great job. Eventually get sacked. Went to Everton, started well, kept him afloat, get sacked. But his style of football and brand of football doesn't excite me. I think he's more a defensive coach, and that's the last thing we want to see. My personal choice is, let's see, so I've read that, sorry. Still got these. If I can't read these, at least we have got experienced coaches on the staff now rather than someone's brother. Coventry fans saying good things about the ex-coach as well. Keep the faith up the borough, Adam McCabe. At least we've experienced coaches. Well, with no more experience than when Warnock came in and Wilder. Those two were vastly experienced coaches, managers, and so were the right-hand men. Hi Benny, why are you wearing jacket, jumper, shirt and a pair of shorts? Laugh out loud. Stand up and show them everyone. Well, Mark, I have got shorts on because it's warm and cold. As I say, everything's up in the air. This is just instinctively today when it was announced. I was so excited, I thought I need to do it live tonight, and that's why I'm here. Everything's up in the air. The new sponsor board's getting made. I've got a new room for next season, new lighting, new sound. So this is just like, yeah, pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Hi Bernie, yeah, so why are you wondering? Rudy just said, Stowe 11. Mark Franco Spillers just put Rudy just said Stowe 11. There's more than Rudy just said Stowe 11 from Middlesbrough. Dan Graham says, hi Bernie, I've already read a quote from Rod Edwards saying he doesn't expect promotion the first season. Is that the right mindset, or is he playing mind games up the borough? Well, Dan, I don't think it's a great thing to say. At the minute, he can't say anything because he doesn't know what money's, well, maybe he does know what money's available. He's not released it. He doesn't know what players we're getting, and it won't be all down to him. So I think it's a poor question to be asked and a poor reply to be answered. So, yeah. It's like you say to me, how's Middlesbrough going to do this season? Rob Edwards is in. Well, hold on, let's see what money's available. Let's see what players we're going to rope in. Let's see what players are going to depart. There's going to be a lot of action, I would think. And those people are saying, oh, Rob Edwards, you know, we've took 4 weeks to get him in, 3 weeks to get rid of Carrick, 4 weeks to get him in. I don't know what the delay is, or was, but the director of football and chief exec will be doing things behind the scenes. They're the ones that do it. I've said that for the off. They might have 3 already signed that we don't know about. In my opinion, the players who won't benefit from Edwards coming in will be Whittaker and possibly Azaz, this is even Matt Whittaker, as he's more of a get the ball in the box type coach. I'd personally make Lenihan skip on the middle of the back 3 as he has leadership, with hope that he's back to full fitness and has a great season without injury. Well, I'll tell you what, Azaz, and I don't know if we spoke about it at the tail end of the season, Hackney get the player of the season and Conway get the young player, is that right? Or vice versa? Azaz for me was player of the season. Conway, 12, 13 goals in a team that is nearly top 6 the majority of the season. Not a great return. Hackney dipped in and out, had injuries, loss of form, scored 5 great goals, mind you. But Azaz was the most profitable player. I think he scored 12 and made about 12. That for me's doing the business. Yeah, he did dip in and out of games as well, but product. You know, if you're a winger, the product's getting the ball in the box, a goal scorer's getting goals. He's a number 10. He created and scored. That's his job. David, what is it? Whitbeck? I really like your honesty, the way you speak. You should have applied for the job ad last 2 minutes. We have to back the appointment of Rob Edwards. Good to see you in the poorhouse in Great up the borough. Yeah, David, there was a few years there last week, a few of my old teammates having a chat about who was the next boss, and obviously we all guessed it was going to be Rob Edwards, and we all had their opinions as to who we would have wanted. But to say, surprised without a shadow of a doubt. I've given you the reasons why I'm surprised. Carrick finished 10th to get sacked. This guy gets sacked 20th. and we've employed him. Some people are saying, oh, he's pals with the director of football. I don't know the answer to that. I wouldn't like to think it's a pals act. I think it's more than that. But as I say, coaches can chop and change, players can chop and change. But at every football club in the country, the top three are the chairman, the chief exec director of football. They rule the roost. They tell who's going, who's coming in, what players are coming along, who we're selling, when we're selling them, and that won't change. So the dynamics doesn't really change. The dynamics on the field may change. We may go for fanning about the back of the long ball, but behind the scenes in the recruitment remains the same. You know, I've always questioned, and I've said this last year, why is it directors of football keep their jobs and coaches lose their jobs? As I say, we're on my fourth coach in 4 years. Director of football is still the same. And yet there's 4 being sacked. Or 3. We're on my fourth. I'm not saying sack our director of football. I'm just talking about, in general, up and down the country, how do they keep their jobs? I mean, our recruitment in January was a disgrace. It was a disgrace. Embarrassing, I used the word embarrassing, and it was. And if anybody for the club wanted to have a word with me and say, what were you saying on there, I'd say, it was embarrassing. Giles, we brought Giles back, first time round, magnificent. Ramsey, Archer, Giles, brilliant. Fantastic recruitment, all on loan. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of them. Giles came back a different animal. Couldn't get in a poor Luton team, couldn't get in a poor Hull City team, couldn't defend, came to a team that couldn't defend, but we brought him back. Then we bring Ian Ashell, 6 games he played in a season, scored 2 goals in a Tottenham City Cup game. Don't even know what cup it was. And we want him to get and perform. And fans are having a go at him. No, have a go at the recruitment. As I say, going back to the injuries, the sports science lot must get their asses kicked as well. We're falling like flies last year. People are jogging off on a Saturday and we don't see them for 3 months. And everybody's saying, well, where did they get injured? Me included. Enjoyed his interview, meaning Rob Edwards, high press, attacking, keeping ball away from the goal. Those last 3 months under Carrick as Phil was lethargic, tippy-tappy, going nowhere. It was. Anthony Newton says, Bernie, in your opinion, do you think the appointment of Edwards signals the end of the signing of rainbow players? Oh, dear goodness, man. Look, regarding all the politics in football, I respect everybody, and I seriously mean it. Everybody, whatever you are, I've not got a problem with you. We've all got our own lives to lead. I'm whatever I am, and whatever you are, get on with, but don't ram it down my throat, because that's where the rebellion comes. That's what's up in the country. People ramming things, oh, you need to support this, you need to do this, you need to wave that. No, you don't have to do any of it. As a human being, if you're made of the right stuff, you're going to just let people live their lives the way they want. Don't ram things down their throat. Do you think Aidan will go before the start of the season? Gary and Samantha Rollins, hiya Gary, Samantha, they travel the country as well. I don't know the answer, but if decent money come in, I don't think we would hesitate. Andrew Smith, Bernie, is it true you applied for the Borough job but turned it down because you couldn't get Henry Pallister and Proctor as your backroom staff? That's the rumour. Edwards was not my first choice, but let's get behind him and assess after 14 games. It seems the fans are split on his appointment. He needs to hit the ground running, otherwise the pressure will be on. He needs at least 6 or 7 new players if we are serious about promotion. Well, listen, if he's done his homework, he must know the deficiencies of last season, fanning about the back, poor defensively, not good enough in the last third, no real width, natural width. He must know all that if he's did his homework. And hopefully he's got the balls and demeanour to go in and challenge the chairman and chief exec. He's not going to be a lapdog. He's going to at least say his bit and say, look, let's back me. Don't be doing this to me. Don't sell in January. That'd be the first thing I would do. If I went in, if I was Rob Edwards and I knew we'd been letting players, that's my biggest bugbear as a Middlesbrough fan. I get the business side, but if I'm a coach, please promise me. And if they couldn't promise me they weren't going to sell in January, I wouldn't sign for Middlesbrough. But how do you know that's not one of the things that they've been talking about that stalled it? I mean, I'm only, it's hypothetical. I don't know what's been going on, but selling January is madness. Ali Smith. Well, as I say, Ali, is it a fear that they could get injured? The players that's Lucky laugh, 22 million he went for. Cost us 5 and a bit. Is it, let's just cash in now in case he gets injured? Or they go and get somebody else and we lose 20 odd million? Is it that? Well, if it is that, I get it. But I would like to think that our desire of getting in the top flight is more that's more a magnet, if you like. If we want to get in top 6 next season and we're selling in January again, that'll be 3 seasons in the bounds for some of our best players. I mean, Lucky Laugh was the best player by a mile. He didn't down tools. He tried to get away in the summer, didn't happen. It suited both parties. Club were happy, made money. Lucky Laugh quadrupled his money. Both sides delighted. Fans weren't delighted. Team wasn't happy. Coach wasn't happy, but didn't have any say in it. Later on the pitch, I remember Stewie Bohm, Morgan, Nigel Pearson, all shouting leaders last season. Hackney was captain. This is for Rob Drysdale, is it? At least one game considered a nice lad. No, Aidan Hackney for me shouldn't be captain. He's a young lad. He's only played a couple of years in the first team. I think a first team player should have experience, be vocal, give instructions, give a bit up the arse to his teammates if need be. Supercomputer predicted we will finish 20th. Remember that stat? I might come back to it this season. Matt Thompson says Edwards has said it's going to be a long process. Things won't happen straight away. I think he has that time behind after reading the comments the last 3 weeks from the fans. Edwards has said it's going to be a long process. Listen, I laugh when managers and coaches come out and say it's not quite the same words, but meaning it's next couple of years we'll get it right. There's no time. The modern game, you don't get time. You're gone in a flash. You go 10, 12 games, don't want a game, you're out. Fans are on your case. Fans are booing. They're ridiculing you in social media. Faceless people who can't spell football. They're all having a go at you. And you eventually get sacked. So, people saying, these players are the future. Well, you won't be the future. You won't be here. I get that it's not just going to happen overnight, but the fans are very, very fickle. Always been fickle. No Middlesbrough. I'm down the country. Fans are fickle. They pay hard-earned cash to go and watch a bit of football. If the football's not up to standard and it's becoming boring and stale, they're entitled to have a go. Edwards, yes, I've read that. Sorry. Ali Smith says, I'm looking forward to the start of the season. I think he'll do all right. I'm off to the Rangers game next month up the effing Borough. Ali Smith. Oh, do you know what, Ali? I'm to the other side of Glasgow, the successful side. I might be going as well. Obviously, I'll be sitting with the Borough fans, but a few of my Borough mates have had a word and says, come on, Bernie, we're going to go to Ivor. I said, why do I want to go and see two bad teams? Two bad teams for last season. One finished second or third and one finished 10th. No, seriously, I'd like to go maybe spend a day in Glasgow and watch. The last time I was up there, I seen Middlesbrough play Rangers. Can't remember the scoreline. I was with the late great Ali Brownlee. It was pre-season and we were doing the commentary as a warm-up before the season, just something like this, a warm-up. I think we get beat. I have been up there at Ibrox before. Ibrox traditional stadium. What's your opinion, the assistant coaches that have come in watching live from Malaga? That's for Daniel. Hi, Daniel. No, the coaches, Adi Viviash, is it? And who's the other one? Harry Watling. They've been round. I mean, we'll call him, how will we call him? Addy. Addy's been at Coventry recently. Matt Robbins. By all accounts, what I've read, I don't know him personally, that he's he can be a nice guy. He can put the arm round. He can boot them up the arse. He can motivate. He's no mug. So that for me is a good thing. Coaches need to have a bit about them. They can't all be dour. They can't all be angry. They have to be different. Like Bruce Rioch. Bruce Rioch, we called Gaddafi. He was unbelievable, ruthless, hard-nosed. We never called him Gaddafi in front of his face. But he was regimental and that was his upbringing. Whereas Colin Todd was a nice guy. It was a good cop, bad cop. So Bruce was the The bad guy would give you the rocket, give you a bit up the jacksy, grab you with a scruff of the neck. Toddy would cool things down and stroke your ego and get you back in track. But it worked. But you can't have 3 coaches in there that's all the same. They need to be different makeup. Players are different makeup. You can't go in with the iron fist and knock them all out and say, come on. We Johnny might need a hug, a kiss. He might need a bit up there. They're all different animals. And that's down to the coaching staff have to have that about them. It's man management. I know players that played for the best in the world. Brian Clough, 2 European Cup back to back. Middlesbrough lad, Middlesbrough legend. Don't know how his statue's still in Albert Park, mind you. Let's get it to Riverside. Still surrounded with barbed wire, whatever. Brian Clough, magnificent. I'm looking forward to the start to see. I'm getting carried away. Edwards has said it's going to be a long process. I've read that. We're always under contract. It says that, Phil, 2-year contract. We're never going to pay that. Gibson was prepared to pay compensation but did not want to deal with Sheffield Wednesday owner. Given current circumstances, as would delay the preparation. In addition, he made it known he wants to manage in the Bundesliga. That was reported in the local rag. Welcome, Rob, to the house. Finest team in football the world has ever seen, and it's Middlesbrough FC. So Gary and Samantha are on there. Just listening to your comments saying it's the right money, comes in Hackney will go. So that's zero ambition before a ball is kicked. We need our best players if we have any ambition. I agree with that as well, Leslie. I might be contradicting myself, but of course, that's what will happen. I think we've made that quite clear. If clubs come in with hard cash, we're going to cash in. The quotation was in an interview with him on local radio website. I thought it was a strange thing to say. This is for Dan Graham, as if he was making an excuse just in case. So I think Dan's referring to Rod Edwards saying it's going to take time. Shouldn't say anything at the minute because he's just in the door. Coaching staff's in the door. We don't know what money's available as fans. He doesn't know which players he's getting as a coach. So we don't know anything. My answer to that, with my experience in media, I just says, well, at the minute, I've just walked in the door. I'm just getting to know my bairns in the training ground and what players we've got, and hopefully we'll get new players in, and hopefully we can strive to be in a healthy position. We're a bang average mid-table side. For me, every player has a prize. It's not like we have a team that's pushing for top 2. This is for Paul McLean. Get as much money as we can. Get Sunderland did and reach the playoffs. Yeah, I think Sunderland were the biggest wake-up call this season. We've seen Newcastle winning a cup. We've seen Newcastle qualifying for Europe, obviously a different division. We've seen Leeds United getting promotion in. Lo and behold, Sheffield United, Chris Wilder, favourites to go to Wembley and turn over Sunderland, who had no household names and not spent a lot of money, and a young manager we'd never heard of when he arrived. And lo and behold, they get promotion. And that is the biggest wake-up call for us, Middlesbrough. You know, out the North East teams, we're the one it's languishing and huffing and puffing. And we need to get back in track, and we need to get back in track soon. What formation do you think he should do to keep the same as Carrick, or the formation he had at Luton 3-5-2? Thomas, I'll only use the quotes that Brian Clough used. Brian Clough, I remember interviewing the late great Brian Clough, and we were talking about formations, and he says, it's not about formations, it's about players. You can play 3-5-2, 4-4-2, 4-4-1-1, play what you want if you've got the players. At the minute, I simply don't think our players are good enough. Some people were bumming up our players better than what they were. I never seen it. I seen a few, but I didn't see a lot. So the hype overrode the ability. And a lot of fans do that, get carried away, and somebody plays well for a season, they've got them in a pedestal and want the statue made. Amazing how popular winning makes a manager. If he wins, everyone will say he was always their first pick. No, I don't think they will. I don't think that will be the case. Let's see, Rob Edwards, I'm sure he's even pinching himself that he's got an opportunity, a coming to Teesside with his hand-picked coaches, who he trusts and obviously knows, and working under a chairman like Steve Gibson. You know, there's not a lot of chairman like Steve Gibson. Steve Gibson is a football fan. I do believe he's still got the energy and the ambition to do well for the town he's selling the football club. He's kept us afloat for years. He brought the Carling Cup, he brought the training ground, he brought some of the biggest names. Of course, nowadays he can't keep up with the Joneses because they're billionaires. He's a millionaire. But he's still trying his damnedest to keep us going. And there's the one thing I would say regarding Steve Gibson, and I'm not in bed with Steve, I respect Steve Gibson, but I'm not in bed with Steve Gibson, I'm not in bed with no one. But Steve Gibson, every time we sell a player and we cash in and we get the money, people say, well, why is he not spending it? Well, I don't know the financial structure of our football club, but we want our football club to be healthy when it comes to finance. Steve Gibson, I keep saying, will never get in the predicament of the 86 scenario. Steve Gibson was a young director. I was a player who just arrived. Liquidation, bankruptcy. The club was going out of business. Steve Gibson witnessed that firsthand. After witnessing that as a young director, now he's been the chairman for so many years. All that experience back then, he will never let that happen again to Middlesbrough Football Club. So I think he's always, I don't know, I've never discussed it with him, but I'm sure he thinks that and thinks, I've seen what happened then, that ain't never going to happen again in my watch. Let's get behind him. I'm sure he will have more than one way of playing. He's worked with the guys in the recruitment before, so that's a good start. And he's happy to work that way. Let's hope we sign a few good lads to help what we get. David Foster says, Bowser is to blame for the lot. Only got Rob Edwards because he's Scott's best mate. Well, David, I hope that's not the case, because the Old Pals Act, as I say, I've mentioned guys who've been around the club for years. I'm always suspicious of guys that linger. If you brought me in as a coach, a manager, and you departed, I would go with you. Principally, morally, I'd say he brought me in, I'm leaving with him. If somebody wanted me to stay behind, I would have to go and check with the guy who employed me, the manager, the coach, and say, are you happy with staying? I'm more than happy to come out with you. But yeah, pals is one thing, but you need to be professional. Steve McLaren, I remember talking to Steve McLaren when he first came in. There was Harrison, there was Steve Round. I don't know where he is now. He went on to the Arsenal and then went somewhere else. Paul Barron. And Steve McLaren says none of them were his pals. He employed what he thought was the best. And at that time, they brought us a Carling Cup. But yeah, Bowser to blame for the lot. No, Bowser can't. It's a consortium of people. Everybody. When the club's not doing well, chairman, chief exec, director of football, players, the only ones that get away scot-free is the fans. The rest I blame. When we do well, everybody should get the plaudits collectively. But in the game of football, one man carries the can. It's the coaches, which I still think is unfair. I always think if I'm recruitment and I'm giving the coach stroke manager donkeys or inferior players that are not good enough to coach, not good enough for the fans aren't buying into it, then why should I not go with the coach? Because I'm the one that's giving them these guys. Now look at some of the rubbish we've had. I mean, Foz, people rave about Foz, never seen it. Hop, Beleza, Piero, these have all been in since 2021. We mentioned Ian Asho. Whether it's loan or permanent, they've not been good enough. We've had a couple of big hitters. And don't say Akpom, because Akpom was before the director of football came. Akpom was already in, went and loan, came back again, did the business. There's two big guys that we've made money on. That's Rodgers and Latte-Laugh. So that maybe saves the baiting, saves the day for the director of football, but there's been some rubbish came through that door. Now, Bernie, mate, I hope you're well. After giving your manager a chance, yeah, we are going to give him a chance. Everybody will give him a chance. Bang on, Bernie. Sold their best players. Not replaced any of them. YouTube, Bernie, pal. Sorry. It's because I've not been doing it during the summer. Don't know what's happening with the YouTube. Oh, there's loads. Sorry, I apologise profusely. I watched Luton under Edwards. Start playing long ball. I've read that. Latte Laugh was swinging the lead, forging injury. Latte Laugh, boy, you're joking. No, Latte Laugh never downed tools. He was still our best player, top scorer. Bernie, hope you're well, mate. And Jess up front. Give the lad a chance. Hackney will leave. Hope not. Hope not, Scott. So I was saying that he's signed a new 3-year contract. So we're running out of time, are we? I don't even know the time. I'm sure it says last 5 minutes. Let's be honest, we were going backwards under Carrick. Not saying it's his fault, but I thought mistake bringing Woodgate back, no disrespect to him. No, Woody was coach under a couple of people, 2 or 3. Was he under Tony Pulis as well? Was the manager as well? So three times been looking about Woody. And then you had Leo Perkovic, became manager for a brief period and was coach under 2 or 3 different managers. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that. I'm always suspicious of people lingering about. If you're not good enough for one, why are you good enough for 3 or 4? And that's what I'm pointing at directors of football up and down the country, including our guy. If you're giving duffers to our coach and our coaches are getting sacked, and we're on the 4th one since the director of football came in, why should you keep your job? Why are you keeping your job? You've got a bigger part to play than the coach. The coach is there to coach them. He doesn't necessarily pick them, bring them in or sell them. We need new defence for the start. Stop this fanning about. That's for John Paul Swainston. Fanning about. It's great saying, isn't it? And it is. Look up the dictionary. Fanning about's the word. Yes, Carrick's tactics weren't great, but wait till you see Edwards' tactics. You'll be thinking, what a massive mistake letting Carrick go. No, listen, I don't want it, as I said earlier, I don't want it to turn into Route 1 football and Wimbledon style hoof in the mixer with big bruisers up front, opposition, centre-halves getting broken noses and all that, blood everywhere. I don't want that type of football. But I would like to see flat back 4, get the balls wide, left and right winger, get the balls in the box, 2 guys up top, 1 big one, 1 smallish one, forget the number 10, get 2 directly up front and get the ball in the box for different angles of the pitch, rather than launching it to centre-half. Get it to the full-backs, to the wide players, hopefully there's a bit of trickery and magic and pace, and get the balls in the box for the 2 guys up front to get an end of it. I mean, it's a simple game played with simple people complicated by fools. People think they're wizards. Every coach does the same. Says it last season, every coach. They all do the same exams. They all come out and do the same things. 11 men in the box defensively, no men up front. Cup games will. I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen in the cup games. Let's hope Rob Edwards doesn't abuse it. Can't afford to abuse it. No burn on the league whatsoever. See it every year. Fans still get carried away. Let's get knocked out of the cup. Concentrate in the league. What a load of pants. It's the biggest load of tosh I've ever heard. Sorry, just joined. Got worried about Rob Edwards' comments today. Doesn't sound like promotion is the target, just improvement. That's worrying. Yeah, I don't know why he says that. You know, that it might take time. As I say, how does he know it's going to take time? It might take time, but how does he know at this very minute with no players come in and no players went as yet? Is Johnny resigning? Thomas Hunter? Johnny? What? Johnny Elson? Even Bernie, we'd like to see some passion and pride back in the side. We lacked leaders on the pitch. This is for Stephen McGill. Last season, I need to get the fans back on side with a bit of Teesside passion. Stephen, bang on. Passion. The fans always show passion. The players, and obviously the fans are generated with what they see, but they always try and get behind the team. At the end of the game, fans are entitled to pay a lot of hard-earned cash to say what they want and give a bit of vent their spleen, whether it be on the terraces or on things like this or on radio phone-ins. But fans go because they love the clubs, otherwise they wouldn't be there. Fans can sit in the house all day and just watch every game on the telly, but they don't. They go and support the team. Let's hope there's a great crowd there next season. Let's hope they get behind the manager and the players, or the coach and the players, and let's see what happens. But talk's cheap. You know, I hear every season, this is the season. I heard last season, this is the season. The season before that, this is the season. Let's not say this is the season. Let's just let the football do the talking this year. Gaddafi, didn't Bruce tell a player to cut his hair because it was too long back in the day? David Kay. He did. Bruce told players to cut their hair. He told us to shave. If you had a love bite, the old nutty badge back in the day, he'd tell you to cover it and you get fined for that as well. Oh, it was never ending. But do you know what? When it was happening, you didn't appreciate it. But see, down the line, you think, yeah, that's called discipline. You had to dress smartly, you had to shave, you were representing the football club. If you did any misdemeanours outside the football club, you'd be fined. I remember going to swim with Gary Pallister on Billingham, and the guy was telling us to get out the pool one night, and the lights flashed, don't they, when your time's up, and it was 9:30 at night and we were messing about and this big guy shouting, get out, and they reported us. We get fined. It's the dearest swim I ever had. Pally paid it, he was loaded. Colin Smith says, let's give Rob a chance, and both other guys are very different to what we've had for a while. So excited. That's calling me a positive message. Nice to see Woodgate gone, waste of space. Steve Sewell. Colin says, this guy gets off to a bad start. The fans will soon turn on him. Hey, we know how it works. I'm sure Rob Edwards knows how it works. Sunderland kept the best players and cast in at the end of the season, selling Bellingham. That's a fair point, Les. I'll give you that one. Yeah, Jude Bellingham was one of the top boys at Sunderland. Not quite as good as his brother yet, but you know, he's got a lovely move there. But they kept on him at the end of the season, and that makes sense. Out, Azaz, Rav and Hackney. Hackney will be first to go pre-season for pre-seasons, or for 3 reasons behind them. No, pair reasons behind it. The biggest problem last season for me was the fanning about the back, including passing back to the keeper, was the biggest reason why we conceded unnecessary goals and lost enough points to cost promotion. That says, best wishes for the team and management for the new season. Any places left for October, Bernie? Yes, David Baker. He gave me a shirt, David. I'm forever grateful. It was for the MLS, slaving on the back. I've still got it, David. Still looking the part. Yes, there is, David. If you get in touch, 7.enterprises@hotmail.co.uk, I'm sure. What Dave's referring to, I've got a 40th anniversary. I'm 40 years in Teesside come October. There's over 20 odd former borough greats coming. Mowbray, Palace, Dusty Gibson's might become the chairman. Tony Mowbray, and numerous others. Too many to mention. And it's October, it's at the town hall. The bottom, all the tables are sold. There's still places left in the gallery or upstairs. So you can order tickets, 7.enterprise@hotmail.co.uk, or you can get in touch with the town hall. So David, yeah, the answer is yes, and hopefully see you then. David K says, don't think Bowser is to blame. I think Princess Peach, I'll wait. Hi Bernie, would you give Josh Coburn a chance up front next season? Done well on loan at Millwall. Of course we'd give him a chance. If I'm Rob Edwards, I would bring anybody that's been out on loan, bring them back, including Coburn, say, right, big man, clean slate, giving you, I've read and heard a bit about you, seen clips of you, and the style and brand I want is more at least one big man. You've got an opportunity to stamp your authority and get in a place. I'd give him a chance, of course I would. Do I think he's a finished article? No. I always says on these lives that I didn't know, but my gut was Carrick didn't fancy him and he wouldn't get a game under Carrick, and I was proved right. You know, people were saying to me whether I was doing the Legends Lounge, which I host, and Match Day, or on here, I would say when Dope went and Like Laugh went, I don't think we'll make top 6. And people were saying I was being negative. I was being negative. I'm a realist, not a fantasist. I don't want to say that. I said we're going to be top 6 start of the season because that's what I believe. But when you get a top player injured, well, one and only winger, natural winger, and Dope injured, returns to Liverpool, and your top striker, Latty Laugh, sold, it deflates everybody. So I didn't think we'd be top 6. Start of the season I did. January, no. And I predicted on here, Carrick would be gone if we didn't finish top 6. That was my gut instinct. along with the coaching staff, obviously. Well, I think we've overshot the runway again. First one back. As I say, I only did it tonight because I thought, why not get with the people I've read the majority out. You know, let's discuss today's events. David says, I'm on the fence regarding Edwards, but glad he has brought his own staff. I think we all are. I think that's important. Damien says, they might as well have put all available managers in a room and played spin the ball. Hint of sarcasm. Leslie says, Jonathan Edwards or Eddie Edwards would have been better. Sarcasm. David, the new Pope was elected quicker than Edwards. Jack Wayne Rooney was available. My God, there's some sarcastic buggers out there, isn't there? Is Edwards better than Carrick? It's senseless. We'll find out. Jed says, I'm gutted. I applied. I didn't even get a reply. Alan says, good luck to Rob. Tony says, hope we play forward rather than messing about the back. Nick says, Mr. Boring arrives. I don't think a big man's born. I'm going mid-table. Finish, that's for tell. Lemmy, I personally would have gone for Gerrard. His name would have attracted players. Not necessarily. Michael Carrick was a big name in football, big name for Man United, but didn't get one player from Man United. Maybe that's something to do with the guys that picked them. Colin says the club should shut their mouth about what we're going to do, this, that and the other, and just get on with it. Nick says we need an overhaul at our club for this season. Ray says the local rags ran the story for a month that Edwards was joining us. Surprise, surprise, obviously in bed with him. They had 4 weeks reviewing Carrick's situation, 3 weeks to announce Edwards. That's the club. Michael says, how do you shape donkeys into racehorses? By God, there's some sackies in there. Danny says, Barry, sorry, season ticket sales are going to go through the roof. Baz says, I never spoke to one Borough fan who wanted Edwards, but let's get behind him. Yeah, I would say, obviously, time the season kicks in, I'll be back on here doing it every week after every Borough game. But Rob Edwards, I never thought that he would be a coach, first team coach, but he is, and I'm totally behind him. I'm not here to persuade or dissuade, but I'm telling you what I'm thinking. I will totally be behind him. I sincerely wish the big man and his coaching staff all the very best. It's a fresh start for everybody. For me, we needed a change, a different direction, and we need players. So let's hope the recruitment team get the fingers out, bring some decent quality players in for the big man and his coaching staff, and let's hope we have a great season. So thanks for joining us. As I say, it was spur of the moment today. I thought, wow, get it on tonight. Thanks for joining us. Next time you're joining us, I'll have all the sponsors behind us. I'll be in a new fresh room, new lighting, new cameras, everything hunky-dory, and let's hope the season's hunky-dory. Up the Borough. Cheers. Thank you. Sorry for not reading them out. This is a different camera as well. Nightmare. See you.